Hey there, Chef D Malfi here, and welcome to Plant-Based Made Easy. Happy Monday, y'all. I'm going to make for you a really wonderful, fast and flavorful, easy breakfast that you can put together in a matter of minutes with a lot of seasonal produce. Right now, I'm going to get started with some of the basics, things that you're going to have all year round. Of course, we want a little onion and some garlic, but I'll introduce the other veggies as well. We're going to use some zucchini because I love it so much. We're going to use some broccolini or broccoli florets that are par-steamed, some frozen spinach, or you can use fresh. I'll explain why I'm using frozen. And then some cherry tomatoes, and then a bunch of flavor agents like plant-based Parmesan, a little pine nuts. And then we're going to make this completely dairy and egg-free. So we're using sprouted tofu today. This is the brand that I'm using, Trader Joe's Sprouted Tofu. So first things first, it's kind of a couple step process, but you want to get your saute pan, which I have here. I'm going to do a split screen so you can see and follow along with me. I'm going to use this saute pan here, and I'm going to get it on a medium heat and just let it come to temp. And what I want to do is I want to oil this pan with just a little extra virgin olive oil. For this recipe, we're going to use both extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil. But for the sauteing of the veggies, I'm going to use EVOO, extra virgin, because it's going to impart a nice fruity, olivey flavor. And we're only going to use a few tablespoons here. Good morning, good afternoon, Natalie. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Karen. All right, so we've got the olive oil down. And before I add anything to my saute pan, I need this to get nice and hot. Let me see if I can turn this just a bit. No, I can't. All right, I'm going to do a full screen so that you can follow along with me on my cutting board, yeah? So let's prep the veggies. I want to first start with a little onion here. I'm going to use half a yellow onion. And here's how I dice up my yellow onion really quickly. I'm going to take the top and the bottom off, and then I'm going to peel that first layer of onion skin away. This can go right into the compost. And then I'm going to dice it rather quickly. So there's two ends. There's the top here of the onion, and then there's the root end. I don't want to start with the root end. I want to start with the top end. So place it down, palm over. Use your chef's knife. That's what this is here. It's got sort of a wide shaft. I'm going to make small planks, and I'm not going to go all the way through the onion. So do you see how my knife is stuck? It's not all the way through. Now go 1/4 inch higher, make another plank. Oh, I went all the way through. That was a mistake. Sorry about it. Do not go all the way through though, because that's going to keep everything intact. But I'm all right. I can save this. All right, now you want to turn your onion a 1/4 turn and go the opposite direction. Again, we're not going all the way through. Do you see how my knife won't go all the way through? And I'm just making little planks, perpendicular. Go back to the first position and then run your knife over. And what you end up with are perfectly diced onions, ready for the hot pan, and no tears. Yeah, all right, going back to the cutting board, get this right into the hot oil. I can smell that the oil is nice and hot. It's dancing around in this saute pan, which is perfect. And to this, I'm going to let this go, but I'm going to also add some onion. Now, I don't want to add my onion first. Does anyone know why? It has to do with the onion getting too bitter. And so if I were to add my onion first, it really does make the flavor of the onion a bit too bitter, and it burns, and I don't want that. So I'm going to take 2 cloves of garlic, give it a whack, and as this onion is sort of like starting to steam, I'm going to prepare the garlic. Now, you can do this one of 2 ways. You can dice it, mince it with your knife, or you can run it through a garlic press. I think I'm just going to mince it with my knife today because I don't mind having some big chunks here. It's gonna spend so much time in the pan here with all the other veggies that it will sort of melt away. Perfect. All right. So this is going to go right in. And now because it has that onion barrier and the onion has sort of brought the oil down to temp, the garlic won't burn. So give this a good mix. And one of the things that I often teach is to season as you go. So you want to season and layer the salt and pepper into this saute pan. So I'm not going to go over the top, but I do want a little bit. So I'm going to use a tiny bit of sea salt. By tiny bit, I just mean a little sprinkling. See that? Just a tiny little sprinkling and a little crack of black pepper. And this really is going to layer the flavor. So we're going to just start with that. Now let's prep the rest of the veggie ingredients here. All right, so the next thing that I want to prep is my zucchini. So I'm going to use a zucchini here, and I want a small zucchini. This actually is a little bit bigger than I want. So I think I'm going to just do half. And I've already washed this. It's easy to wash the zucchini when it's nice and fresh because it like the oils and all the soil or dirt on the outside just kind of slip right off. I'm just going to slice it in half, and I'm not going to worry about removing the seeds. Now, do you see here? There's a little bit of seeds. I like that. That's full of flavor. It's full of fiber, and fiber's my friend. And it should be yours as well, because when we start eating more fiber, everything changes. We feel a lot better in our body. We digest better. We eliminate better. Our microbiome, our gut brain is actually a lot healthier. Our gut brain loves to feed off of fiber, especially fiber coming from fruits and vegetables, all those plant foods. So I have some zucchini now. These are perfect, kind of thinly chopped here. Throw it right in. All right, now I'm going to season as I go once more, just a little tiny bit more salt. I'm using sea salt. If you guys are unfamiliar, this is what it looks like. It's kind of, here, let me make it fluffy. Kind of really nice and bright, shiny, kind of fluffy. It's fine, on the finer side. And a little crack of black pepper. I always opt in for freshly ground black pepper. I don't ever buy the pre-ground pepper. No, 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 not in my kitchen. All right, so zucchini, I can tell you're already starting to steam. Good work. Now, the next thing that we need is some broccolini or broccoli florets. I'm using broccolini today because that's what my CSA farm box sent to me. Now, this broccolini comes from a farm right here near Orange County. And this is from Farm Fresh to You. This is the CSA farm box that we get. If you guys want a discount code, you are welcome to use mine. We'll put it in the comment box here. I highly recommend, let me do this with my eyes so that you can really see. I really highly recommend getting a farm box. Now, if you don't know what it is, it's like having the farmer's market delivered right to your door, but you can customize your box. So I get the very small box. It's the smallest size they offer. It's usually for 1 to 2 people. It feeds you for a week. And it comes with, I think, 5 or 6 different types of produce items, all different types of seasonal produce items. And it's all grown like 20 or 50 miles in your neighborhood or from your address. So it's all local. It's wonderful. It's local, or it's organic, and it is the best of the best. For instance, this broccolini is super sweet. It's perfect right now. It's got a short window of time where it is really yummy. You can see how green it is, and it's already par steamed. So I've already steamed this up, but it stayed super green, and I just want to show you in the overhead. It is gorgeous. Now I'm just going to use the tops here, and I'm using about a cup of broccoli or broccolini florets that are par steamed. This is going to go right in, but not quite yet. I want to make sure that I see that my onions are getting a little bit more translucent than this before I add my broccolini, because remember, these are pre-cooked. And to par steam, you guys, all I do is I wash the broccolini, I slice off the tops, and then I put them in a glass container just like this with like a tablespoon of cold filtered water, and then pop it into my microwave for about 30 to 40 seconds. Now, if you don't have a microwave or you don't use one, you can also put this in a steamer basket. I have one here I want to show you. They have really cool steamer baskets now. Look at this one. This one is actually all BPA free. It's silicone based. It's really easy to wash veggies. You can actually rinse pasta in this, but it's cool because it actually collapses. You can also steam by putting it in here and then putting a top on and actually popping it right into the microwave. This is a really fun and also kind of modern steamer, which I really like. So one of these would be fantastic. All right. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about is the sprouted tofu. This is going to be our egg substitute. So who here has had a tofu scramble before? If you have, just type yes in the comment box. I'm really curious. I'm truly, genuinely curious. There's a lot of people that are plant-based or trying to go vegan or maybe newly vegetarian but don't eat eggs. And they're experimenting with tofu, and tofu scramble is one of the most wonderful, easiest ways to sort of acclimate or get used to tofu. And when you crumble it up and you add it to a pan of veggies like we're doing here and you season it up really nicely, it is fantastic. So we're going to use sprouted tofu today. And I see that some of you have Roberta, my mom, yes, loves the sprouted tofu, loves the tofu scramble. Charisse, awesome. Royce, I'm so glad to hear, Royce, that you're here and that you like the sprouted tofu, the scramble. And I'm using sprouted tofu, but you can use any that you want. Even firm tofu would work. And I'm just going to use about 8 ounces of this. And I have to just kind of press it. And so I'm going to do that while we make the pesto. So let me just open this up. Let me just grab the plastic off. Let it kind of drain out. I'm going to pop the box in the garbage. And then I'm going to take my Disney Food and Wine. Yeah, Food and Wine Festival. My really thin kitchen towel. You can use any kitchen towel that you want, but I love my Disney Food and Wine towels because they're super thin. I'm not just trying to promote Disney, although I definitely love my Disney. And I'm aching for my Disney family right now. Disney will have a long time to recover from this 2020 year. I'm just going to press it. I'm literally just pressing it in a dish towel that's thin, just like this one. And I want to make sure that all of that water comes out. And you can see it's nice and dry now. Not even all of the towel is that wet. So I'm just going to let it sit here and do its thing now while we make the pesto. So I'm going, yeah, let's do a question. Karen asked, does it have to be sprouted or is regular tofu okay? Totally okay. You could do regular tofu. I like the sprouted tofu because the micronutrients and the macronutrients in the sprouted varieties of anything. It can be tofu. It can be bread. It can be pasta that's sprouted. It can even be popcorn that's sprouted. All of these things, all of the nutrients that within sprouted foods are more bioavailable. So what does that mean? It means that our gut microbiome, our gut belly here gets a lot of food and a lot of goodness. And we really want to eat some sprouted foods in our diet because it's going to have way more protein, a lot less net carbs, and then it's going to give you all of those micronutrients in your bloodstream, in your body that we really can't get sometimes in regular tofu. So sprouted is great and it doesn't taste any different. And it's actually the same price. So if you can find it, buy it. I really highly recommend it. It's really great. All right, I can see that these veggies are fantastic and working hard. I'm gonna turn this way down here. And I'm just going to add some more ingredients, all right? So I'm gonna add my cherry tomatoes. I'm gonna pop them in. Because these are washed and clean, but they're really big and juicy, I'm not using the grape tomatoes, the little ones. I'm gonna pop these in now so they can kind of burst and explode. And then a little bit of the frozen spinach. Well, I'm using frozen here. Oh, we're on the front cam. There we go. The overhead cam. Here's the frozen spinach. Yeah. I'm just going to use about a half a cup of this. Why frozen? Because this is instantly quick frozen when it is produced, when it is actually harvested right from the spinach plants. They actually squeeze a little bit of the juice from the spinach leaf onto a little meter. It's called a refractometer, and it looks just like this. Ooh, this is a weird, I don't like that. We're going to pretend that this is the refractometer, and there's a lens, and they squeeze the spinach juice, and then they look inside, and they're looking for the BRIX level. That means the bricks or the sugar content in the spinach, and they will not harvest or pick the rest of the field until that bricks meter gets to the right sugar level. And so this is really great. The good thing about spinach that's organic and frozen is that it actually is way more flavorful and way more nutrient dense, meaning that all of the vitamins and minerals are intact, and it's probably even going to be a lot fresher and delicious and more nutritious for you than traditional spinach that was picked a little earlier, just so that it can spend that time in the truck to get to you. Does that make sense? So usually really spinach is wonderful to get frozen. I'm going to throw this right in. All right, so now I'm going to do a full screen overhead, and you can follow along with me. I'm going to actually make the pesto for you with you right here. So right into my food processor, I'm going to add a few things. First things first, I'm going to usually use basil, but today I'm doing something very special. Instead of basil, I'm actually going to do carrot top pesto. So these are carrot tops, and they are literally right from the tops right from the carrots. I've washed these already, and pause. I have to do this on the side because I definitely need to slice these. So they're washed already. Make sure to wash them really well because they are quite sandy. And you want to take about 1.5 inches off the bottom. So these stalks right here, the base of it, the last 1.5 inches or so is really kind of like tough. So get that off. And then what you want to do is rock your knife kind of around all the way up the carrot top, just so that you can fit it right inside the food processor. So this goes, oh my gosh, this goes right into the food processor. About 2 cups. You can just press it all the way down. I think these ones are a little too tough as well. So I'm going to place those aside. All right, so this is just like making regular pesto. So instead of basil, though, we're using carrot tops. It's very easy to do. And I highly recommend, if you have some carrots, like from your CSA farm backs that I hope that you'll get soon, definitely save those tops. You can saute the tops. The other day I made them sauteed in a pan with little rice wine vinegar, and I had it over some grains with a sweet potato on the side. It was really yummy. So I cook them up just like regular greens. I use them in pesto just like herbs. So they're kind of like an herb meets a green. It's really fantastic. Kind of does taste a little bit like carrot too. And then to this, I'm going to add 3 cloves of garlic, which I have here. I'm going to give it the old Nana whack. My Nana used to teach me how to do that. Give it the old Nana whack, the Italian Nana whack. And then what you end up with is just the skins come right off. And you can throw these in whole, obviously. You can throw them in whole into the food processor. My Ninja here is what I'm using, and I absolutely love it. It's quiet and it's efficient. And if you want a link to this, you can go into my Amazon shop and check it out. And then I'm going to use about 1/4 cup of avocado oil. Now, why avocado oil? Well, we're using carrot tops. First of all, even if you were to use basil, I would recommend avocado oil for a pesto like this. Why? Because it's neutral. This flavor is not going to taste like avocado. It's not going to taste like anything. It's going to be super neutral. And we're only using 1/4 cup, but that's kind of a substantial amount here. If you were to use olive oil, if you have a food processor that runs really hot or that has a blade that is really dull, you'll end up actually cooking the olive oil. You'll actually start to warm it up and it gets bitter. So I recommend using avocado oil when you make pesto. It's a really nice trick. It has all of the same nutrients. It's really still good for us, but it's going to have that neutral flavor. And then I want a little bit, oh yeah, let's do a question. Christy asks, can pesto be done without oil? Good question, Christy. Yeah, you can do it without oil. You're definitely going to need some liquid. You can use either veggie broth, which I like. I really do like. I keep one box in my refrigerator so I can use it if I wanted a whole food kind of sub for oil. Or you can use cold filtered water, which would be just fine. And know that you might want to like emphasize the flavor with more salt or more lemon or more garlic. Make sense? All right, so now we're going to use a little, nutritional yeast. And I'm going to use, actually, instead of nutritional yeast, I'm just going to use my plant-based Parmesan, which I made in one of last week's episodes. Check that out, you guys, if you want the recipe for this. It's super simple. Like I said, I keep it in a mason jar and I put a little label on it that says B12, just to remind me what it is, what the nutrient in it is, to remind me that I want to get enough of it. And then I want about 1/3 cup. Cool. And then I also want some pine nuts, some sea salt, and some lemon juice. Oh no, did we lose the power here? Hang on. There we go. Missed that. All right, so pine nuts, I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons, 1 and 2. These are going to be totally raw, but you can actually add roasted. It won't make much of a difference, but it will add a little bit more flavor if they are roasted. And then a little salt here, 1/2 teaspoon or so. And then finally some lemon juice. And I have 2 lemons. What's going on here? We cooking with grease or what? Hold please. My cooktop just decided to stop. There we go. Perfect. Now, lemon juice, I'm just going to take the juicier of the 2. I think this one's really good. Squeeze it right in. I'm going to use one of these. I love these citrus juicers. And just 1/2 is probably good. That one's real. That's just because that lemon's really juicy. All right. Close it. And then give it a pulse. So let me do it right over my food process, right on my cutting board so you can follow along and see what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of holding my finger over the pulse and kind of just, you can see it through the food processor. I want it to be a specific consistency. I want it to be almost smooth. It's going to be a little chunky, obviously, but a little smoother than where we're at right now. Use a hard spatula to run it around the blade and then turn it on again and let it just finish up. Perfect. All right, I can just tell by looking at it that it's done. I'll show you. Oh my gosh, will you take a look at this? Look, it looks like regular pesto. Let me do the overhead so you can see even better. Looks like regular delicious pesto. You can't even tell it's made with carrot tops. I'm going to taste for salt and lemon. Oh my goodness, is that good? Wow.
Does it taste like carrot?
No, it tastes like pesto. Doesn't taste like carrots. It's truly, it just tastes like, you wouldn't even know that it's not basil. Kind of tastes like the same thing. It's really yummy. All right, so that's looking great. At this point, I really want to make sure that my tomatoes are popped. Like I said, I'm not using the grape tomatoes. If you are, you might want to add your tomatoes in last. If you're using fresh spinach, you can also add it last, like after you add the tofu, but we're using really whopping big juicy tomatoes, so I added it first, and then the frozen spinach, so I added it already. Now, you can add plant-based cheese if you want, but I'm going to skip that. And now all we need to do is add this tofu that's been pressed and drained. Now look at it. It's got this gorgeous 8-ounce block. The sprouted tofu, oh, it's so good. It's got this really fresh smell. Now, all you have to do, if you've never seen anyone do this before, is you literally are just going to crumble it into bits. Crumble it just like this with your fingers. There's really no better tool. I don't know what a tofu press is. I see that that's a question here in the comments. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure you could use it, and I'm sure that would remove a lot of the water. Mom, do you have a tofu press? My mom's asking this question. If you do, I want to know about it. Yeah, definitely use it. I'm going to check that out next time I'm at your place. I think that's really great. Use a tofu press, whatever you want. I think what you were talking about, though, is just like a cup, like a plate, like a tofu in a bowl with a plate on top and then maybe a can on top of that, like a homemade press situation. That's generally how I press my tofu, is just like that. I would like put it in a bowl and then put things on top of it to weight it down. So this is great. This tofu is exactly how I want it. And it's going to, you're going to remove or cook down some of the water in the tofu once it hits the hot pan as well. And I like to keep my chunks of tofu on the larger side. So good. And you can see right away, doesn't it kind of look like egg white? It looks really yummy. It looks just like egg white to me. Now, I have a clean spoon here. I'm going to add a little bit of pesto. I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And this is what makes it a pesto scramble, is that we're going to kind of just like warm the pesto through. And this whole thing is going to kind of turn a greenish color. Oh, I love tofu scramble. It's absolutely my favorite vegan breakfast. Absolutely. I love it in so many different ways. That's why I love it so much that I will always have a tofu scramble in every single month cookbook that I write. And I mix it up, you guys. So you're always going to get a scramble, but it's going to be seasonal ingredients every year, different toppings, different ways to prepare it. So good. So these tomatoes are great. I can tell they're warmed, and now I can just kind of pop them to open them up. I kind of prefer that they're kind of popped as opposed to whole, because I want to kind of remove some of their juices in the pan. And I'm just using my spatula to pop the tomato. And when they're warm, they're much easier to kind of break open just like this. When they're cold, they're very hard to do this. Be careful though, because the juice inside now is nice and hot. Come on, little guy. One last one. Okay. I love adding tiny roasted potatoes and pepper slices. Yum. I'm coming over. Sounds great. Yeah, those fingerling potatoes, so good. Right? So yummy. All right, this pesto scramble is so good. I forgot one other thing. Duh. We need to add the broccolini. So this is par cooked, so I can add it last. Mix it in. We've added now a few ingredients. What am I going to do? Season as I go. Just a little bit more salt and a little bit more pepper. And this is just going to finish the dish, which is perfect. We've got the pesto down. We've got every layer that's been seasoned. This is just going to make sure that it all comes together quite nicely. And you just, I'm sorry? So yeah, generally tofu scramble, if it's really just kind of a plain tofu scramble where you can really mimic the look of eggs, like beaten eggs, you use like an egg scramble mixture of like turmeric and garlic powder and onion powder and this really neat ingredient that is black salt. And it is Himalayan black salt and it is very sulfur-like. It has a sulfur flavor, kind of smells like egg. But because we're using tofu pesto, we're using pesto in our tofu scramble, we don't need to actually add any of those ingredients because it would kind of be overly flavorful. It would be overly seasoned. So this is a different version of a tofu scramble, and I kind of like it. It's very, well, it's Italian. It's very like Italian, very Italian-American. And I love that it's made with the carrot tops. You would never know. It's a great use for your carrot tops. You can use every part of it. And you guys, this looks fantastic and totally done. At this point, I'm just gonna plate it up. And I want to just plate it up in a beautiful, on a plate, beautiful white plate here. Maybe I'll serve it with some toast. I have some Ezekiel toast that I've toasted up already. I've buttered it as well. Yum, yum, yum. I'm so excited to try this. Ugh, yes. I didn't get a proper breakfast yet today. I had some coffee and I had a muffin, but that doesn't that doesn't count. I'm ready for my pesto veggie scramble. And you can also garnish the top with some more pine nuts if you want. Maybe you have some extra carrot top, you know, some extra carrot tops that you want to just add, right? Like kind of like an herb. I don't have any extras, so I'm not going to. But one little tomato on top. Come on. That looks so good. And there you have it. This is your pesto veggie scramble. Come on. Would you eat that? I know that you would. We'll do an overhead, a little glamour shot. Yum, 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 yum. Try this, you guys. And try that sprouted tofu if you've never had it before. I'm gonna garnish with some pine nuts because why not? Even more pretty, right? Give you a little bit, tiny bit more crunch. Yummy. All right, I'm gonna try it. Because quality control. I want to give this food a little gratitude. Thank you, food. Thank you, God. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is so good. Royce, you're going to love it. Mom, you're going to love it. You got to try this, you guys. It's fast. It's flavorful. It's super fun. Get yourself some carrot tops. Make yourself a delicious pesto or get some basil, whatever you want. Make it your own. And if you make it your own, take a photo and pop it into the Facebook group. Kathy says, I haven't used tofu yet for a scramble, but I'm willing to try that because this looks delicious. Sharice, you're going to eat it tomorrow. Mom, you're eating it tomorrow. Roy says it looks good. You guys definitely try it. For all of you that haven't yet downloaded the cookbook, this recipe comes right from my October Plant-Based Made Easy cookbook. I write a new cookbook every single month. And you guys, we are in week 4 of our October Plant-Based Made Easy cookbook. This is the first day of week 4. I hope that you like this recipe. Share it with your family and friends. Don't tell them that it's not egg. Don't tell them that it's a different kind of pesto. Let them try it and let the food speak for itself, because I bet this is going to be a winner for your entire family and all your loved ones. You guys, we have a wonderful week in store for you. We're going to be talking about all things plant-based, including some spooky foods for Halloween. And I'm going to be kind of like here and answering any of your questions about Plant-Based Made Easy. You might see that I'm going to be having, I'm going to have some cool Halloween fun outfits. I'm going to have some cool voter promoting outfits like this. Nevertheless, she persisted. So I hope that you guys get out there and vote. I hope that you guys are picking out your costume for Halloween if you're here in the United States, and make some good plant-based food this week with me, will you? Come back for more. Tomorrow, we're going to make a delicious lunch. I'm making a crispy tempeh aioli sando. It's really yummy. So I hope that you'll join me for that. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.